Grab your fine liners and a hot cup of tea because today I'm going to show you step by step how to draw all of our favorite summer herbs and create a beautiful sketchbook illustration. What's up, friends? My name is Shayda Campbell, and on this channel, we get creative together. Today, I'm going to show you how to draw summer herbs, and not only are we going to draw them together, but I'm going to show you how to create an illustration because design is part of the process. I'm working in a mixed media sketchbook from Strathmore. Just a nice toothy paper will do, or a smooth paper, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want a mechanical pencil as well, and then 1 or 2 fine liners, some nice artist pens. Those are great to have on hand. All my supplies are linked in the video description. All right, let's get this party started. First thing we're going to do is work on the illustration, the design of the piece. So I'm going to sketch out a large kind of circle. Actually, it's more like a square with rounded edges. And then we're going to fill that in with ovals. I will have a total of 7, a circle of 6 with 1 in the middle. Now and only now can we begin actually illustrating the herbs. We've worked out our design. First herb we're going to illustrate is sage. It's so simple. You just draw a little line and then add a big oval-shaped leaf that comes to maybe a little bit of a point. Just keep it easy. Next is one of my favorites, and that's rosemary. Start with a line, and then you're just going to do all these tiny little lines, like really thin leaves, and they all angle up, but then some of them are going to kind of angle out, and you're going to draw little X's. Just make it a little bit messy and a little bit weird. That's how you make it look realistic or semi-realistic. Let's do that one again together. Start with a stem or even 2 stems, and then you're going to begin by adding all these little pairs of tiny, thin leaves. They tilt upwards, and then make some that don't tilt up, that tilt down or out and kind of look like X's. You can also have a couple of them crisscross and go in behind each other. They should look a little messy and crazy. That's the look of that rosemary, that really thin, long leaf. And from there, you keep filling in, and then if you want to, you could add another sprig or 2 or 3. It's totally up to you. This one's a lot of fun to draw. Next, I want to draw basil together. This one begins with the leaves. You're going to draw 3 oval-shaped leaves. You can fill them in with some little lines. We'll talk about that more later. Then you drop down and draw 3 more leaves. From there, add another stem, drop down, and 3 more leaves, a little bit bigger this time. That's the basil. Let's do it again together. We begin not with the stem, but with 3 leaves. You can add a line down the center. Then you're going to drop down, add a bit of a stem, and 3 more leaves, just a little touch bigger this time, and then do it once more. Make those leaves a little bit bigger. Continue adding that stem through the center. You can add lots of tiny little lines to your leaves. That's a nice detail and really makes it look like basil. And finally, you can thicken that stem through the center just a little bit. And that's basil. All right, next, let's draw dill. Start with a curving stem, and then the dill has these tiny, thin little leaves, almost like fronds, and we're just gonna add tons and tons of thin little lines. And then we could draw a dill flower. It's kind of like a big U with all these little lines, and then I just put like a whole bunch of little dots up top to represent the flower, the blossom of the dill. From there, I want to draw some thyme, and this one again starts with curving stems all joined together at the bottom. And kind of like the rosemary, we do these pairs of leaves, tiny little thin leaf pairs, most of them angled up, but some angling out and to the side and even down to give it that wild, messy look. And we're just filling in, maybe adding more little stems so that you have a nice cluster. That's the time. We're going to go over all this in pen, so we're going to talk it all out again. I also want to draw mint, and this one is a lot like the basil. You start with 3 leaves, and then those oval-shaped leaves act as your guide, and you're actually going to go around and add this toothy edge. So just draw the pointed oval first and then go around and do that edge. That makes it a lot easier. And for the mint, I don't worry as much about getting clusters of 3. I might just do a pair of leaves. You can see how it kind of comes together there. Okay, now that I'm filling in my guide, I actually think I have room for 2 herbs here at the bottom. So I'm going to divide and draw 2 circles, and we're going to do some long, thin chives with a messy chive flower. And I also want to do marjoram, and that lets me draw this really curvy line with these little round leaves. So pretty basic, rounded leaves on some messy stems that look like they're flopping over. That's my summer herb illustration set up. My sketch is done. Now I can grab a fine liner and go over everything. So I'm using the Mulatto Black Liner, the 04 nib, 4mm, gives me a little bit of weight, but I still have quite a lot of precision there for a small illustration like this. And we'll start back with our rosemary. We're going to do these thin leaves that are almost just like a thickened line. Most of them angle up towards the top of our paper, but some of them, they angle out to the sides and even down towards the bottom of the page. I sometimes draw a line down the center of the little leaf, and that gives me the look of the messy, very dense rosemary plant. For the basil, we start with 3 ovals that come to a bit of a point, and then 3 more, just slightly larger, and then 3 more, maybe overlapping a little bit, and a stem through the center connects all of them. You draw a line down the middle of each leaf, and then from there, you can add a whole bunch of tiny little lines going out to the left and right respectively on each leaf. And that really gives the look of the basil, adding all those little details. And it's really simple to do because you've already done the sketch. Now it's just about, adding in that extra detail right at the end when you're feeling confident. Let's put my titles in there, making this little journal sketch come to life. For the dill, start with a curving line. Get that movement. Then begin adding little branches on each side of the main stem, and each branch curves a little and has tons of tiny little lines, almost like fronds. We'll do that messy U-shaped flower with little dots across the top to make the dill flower really pop. Sage is super simple, a line with a big pointed oval leaf. Do some of them kind of flopping over, and that's your sage. Thyme is another favorite of mine. I like these ones with the little tiny leaves. We're going to do a curving stem through the center, a couple of them, maybe 3 or 4, all joined right down at the bottom, and then these little line-shaped leaves, like leaves that are just barely more than a thickened line, kind of like little X's all the way down. Very messy, very dense. We'll write thyme across the bottom, and then we'll move on to the chive, and it is just what you would think, these long, fairly thickened lines for the chives themselves. And then for the flower, you can draw a stem, and then these, again, barely more than lines, these long, thin petals kind of in a U-shaped cluster. That makes the chive flower, that purple flower. And finally, we've got the mint. Because we've already done the guide, we can just start these leaves by drawing the teeth. We've already kind of sketched in their toothy edge, so that's no problem. We'll go around with fine liner, put a line down the center of each leaf, put the stem right through the center, and then just like the basil, we're going to add a whole bunch of little lines on each side of that dividing line. From there, we have our marjoram, and again, rounded leaves on a sort of floppy, curving stem, like a stem that looks lazy. It's just flopping around and moving, and it's a nice space filler for your design. You can put some little lines down the center of those leaves. Then we're going to get rid of all of our messy pencil sketches. The guide was very helpful, but now it has got to go. We're going to clean up this illustration, and that really allows you to look at what you've created and say, okay, what more do I need here? In my case, I need to get rid of some more pencil lines. And I am a messy sketcher. And I also rest my hand on my paper, so I get a lot of pencil smudges. So make sure to clean all that up. It cleans up with an eraser. What am I rambling about? And then we can grab our fine liner, and I forgot to put a few labels in here. I'm going to put mint and marjoram, and of course I want to add a title across the bottom. So let's start there. I'm going to write garden herbs in pencil first, and then I want to kind of create a flag around it. That one got very messy, I will admit. I'm going to try that again. We're going to do the flag first. 2 lines, make a little rectangle, then just put your indent in. That's a nice way to start it. From there, we can write the title through the center. Everything's done in pencil. We'll grab our fine liner to complete this, and I think what I'll do is pull that pen towards my body. That allows me to keep it straight, make a nice straight line, or fairly straight. We still want everything to look very hand-drawn, very illustrative and playful. Remember, the beauty of creating illustrations like this is not to capture these herbs perfectly. It's to capture them in a way that speaks to your unique artistic aesthetic. That's the fun of looking at illustrations on Pinterest or on, products. Especially kids' products use very fun illustrations, kids' books and kids' toys. And that's what we're creating here, unique illustrations that present the world in a different way. So do not worry about perfection. This is all about creating your voice, sharing your voice. Thanks for drawing along with me today. I was going to say painting. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Let me know what you want to see next time. I am loving these illustrations, and I hope you are too. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button.